Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining me for this WNCT Now evening news update. Excuse me. I'm Emily Severage, live in the WNCT digital studio. Let's go ahead and get right into some top and trending headlines for your Friday. We're following a developing story out of D.C. A Capitol police officer is dead after a car rammed into two officers at a barricade outside the U.S. Capitol earlier today. The driver got out of the vehicle while appearing to wave a knife before being shot and killed by police. Both officers were taken to a hospital. One of the officers died. The officers and suspect have not been identified. The incident occurred about 100 yards from the entrance of the building on the Senate side of the Capitol. Fencing that prevented vehicular traffic near that area was recently removed as the Capitol has started to reopen up after the January 6th riots. Authorities say there is no longer a threat, and the attack did not appear to be related to terrorism or pinned to one individual. A North Carolina teen jumped into action, saving a 10-year-old boy's life, but sacrificing his own. 18-year-old Alteric Bell was from Washington County. He was visiting friends in New Jersey when someone opened fire on a car he and the 10-year-old were in. Bell used his body to shield the boy. He was shot 7 times and died from his injuries. Bell's mother says it's heartbreaking, but she knows her son died a hero. An investigation is still underway into this incident, but no arrests have been made. To celebrate the legendary career of UNC Chapel Hill coach Roy Williams, Dunkin' Donuts will be giving away free OlRoy Donuts. The company says it's their way to show appreciation to the retiring 33-season head coach. Williams won 3 NCAA championships and had 903 career wins. You can get a free OlRoy donut with the purchase of any beverage at any participating North Carolina Dunkin' Donuts on Saturday, April the 3rd. Coming up after the break, an amazing story of a ballerina with a surgery that has her back showing off her dancing skills, and a train crash in Taiwan. That and more coming up after this short break.
In the WNCT digital studio is online for you. Live afternoon news updates.
Continuing to track COVID-19 cases.
Don't forget the positive news with Feel Good Friday.
How about we break out some dance moves to kick off your weekend? Remember to see the good in each day.
And if you're looking for your next eatery, Digital Dining has you covered.
Tonight we're visiting Cucina La Mantilla. We visit Blend in Jacksonville.
We're visiting La Cocina del Colqui.
These and more on WNCT Now under the live stream tab. You can get 9 on Your Side news anywhere. We mean, well, anywhere. At work, over coffee, from the kitchen, the plane, outdoors, customized alerts. Everything you want in one place.
Breaking news.
We get it to you wherever you are. Out on the water, on a date, even at the North Pole. Ho, ho, ho. WNCT 9 on Your Side. News on the go. Anywhere, anytime.
Thanks so much for joining me. If you're just tuning in, I'm Emily Severage, live in the WNCT digital studio, bringing you some evening updates. WNCT is bringing you live streamed updates every Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. to bring you the latest and up-to-date news before our nightly newscast. In worldly news, dozens were killed after a passenger train derailed in Taiwan. The train derailed on the east coast of the country, killing more than 40 people and injuring dozens more. Hundreds were on the 8-cart train when it came off the rails inside a tunnel. Investigators say the train hit a truck that rolled onto the tracks after its brakes failed. Now, there's a guy in Waterford City, North Dakota, who just built his first ever plane completely from scratch and flew it for the very first time just a few days ago. Our sister station in North Dakota shares how one man is flying to new heights while encouraging others to do the same.
When I was young, my father had a private pilot license, and he took me flying just a few times.
But just those few times was enough for Arston Johnson to get hooked on aviation.
I always wanted to learn how to fly. Never really had an opportunity until I moved back to Watford City, and I had access to an airplane and access to a flight instructor, and I got started.
Johnson eventually got his pilot's license and bought his first private airplane.
I bought a Piper Arrow. I got my instrument rating. I got my commercial pilot license last year.
His fascination steady rising off the ground.
When I was young, Dad was interested in building a kit fox, which is another type of kit plane. He bought the VHS cassette video that they would give you for marketing purposes, and we watched it, and I thought, man, we could do that. But that never came to fruition.
But years later, using the experience he developed in and around the cockpit, he decided to take on he and his father's dreams.
Eventually, I decided to build this kit plane.
Johnson began building the Vans aircraft RV-14 from scratch.
It's not quite like a Lego set, but it's close. It's follow the instructions.
He says the kit itself cost a little over $30,000. The project in whole took around 3 years to complete, and of course, it had its difficulties.
It's a huge project. It's a daily struggle to remain motivated. But at the end, you can look back and see that it was a very positive experience.
From start, even to his first flight on March 13th.
Your first time that you fly the plane that you built, you have this just unstoppable smile. And it's a feeling like no other.
And that same feeling is what he encourages others to chase after in life.
My advice is, if you're going to attempt a project, think you can. Have that attitude all the way through. And there will be times when you think you can't, but get over it and keep moving forward. And someday you'll get to the end of the project and look back on a tremendous experience.
Reporting for KX News in Watford City, Malik Wilson.
A story out of Cleveland, Ohio. A ballerina with scoliosis didn't let her condition stop her from reaching her dreams. Now, after a successful surgery, she's back and showing off her dancing skills. Our sister station has this amazing story.
Ever since 15-year-old Aubrey Sandia of LaGrange, Ohio was a little girl, she dreamed of being in the spotlight.
Every year, my mom would take me to the Nutcracker, like all different places, and I loved seeing the dancers on point, and I really wanted to be on those point shoes and be on stage like they were.
But at 9 years old, back in 2015, Aubrey's effortless dance moves would no longer be in motion.
I was just taking her for a well child visit, and a scoliosis check is just normal with that. So the doctor had her bend over, and he said that he thought she had scoliosis.
Aubrey's type of scoliosis affected her rib cage and her lungs compressed, no longer able to sing or dance. She wore a back brace for 4 years and fought through the pain. Then in 2018, the family got more devastating news. Aubrey's father and biggest cheerleader, Scott, was diagnosed with ALS. As his disease progressed, so too did Aubrey's spine curvature.
She was wearing a bathing suit and she bent over, and I could just tell her rib hump had gotten way worse.
Since Aubrey was still growing, she became the perfect candidate for a new kind of surgery at Cleveland Clinic Children's Hospital that would give her more flexibility, called vertebral body tethering, or VBT. So 1 year ago this month, before COVID-19 canceled elective procedures, the 4-hour surgery was a success. And while her dad was by her side, he sadly passed away 1 month later.
We saw him get to the point where he couldn't walk and couldn't breathe. And he was still happy to be here, like each day that he was.
Aubrey, a Keystone High School freshman, is now singing and dancing again with no limitations. Her father, she says, now her biggest fan from heaven.
I'd like to be a singer, dancer. I could do any of it, really.
Jennifer Jordan, Fox 8 News.
Well, that's going to wrap up this WNCT Now Evening News Update. Of course, we have more news coming up for you tonight on our broadcast at 5, 6, 10, and 11 o'clock, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful Easter weekend. Thanks so much for watching.